The Krellian war fleet hung in space like a crown of thorns around Earth's moon, 300 vessels strong, each one a masterpiece of conquest that had brought a dozen civilizations to their knees. Admiral Thexcal stood on the bridge of his flagship, mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among his kind. "This is humanity's final defense?" he asked, gesturing at the tactical display with one of his forearms. A single human vessel drifted toward them. Ancient by galactic standards, its hull scarred and pitted from what appeared to be centuries of neglect. The ship was barely a kilometer long, a relic compared to the Krellian dreadnoughts that stretched 5 times that distance. Its energy signatures were minimal, flickering like a dying candle. "The Terran Resolve," his tactical officer reported, amusement rippling through his voice. "Records indicate it was decommissioned 80 years ago. They appear to have reactivated it." The bridge crew erupted in clicking laughter. Below them, Earth burned in patches where the preliminary bombardment had struck. The humans had fought valiantly, destroying nearly 40 Krellian ships before their fleet was reduced to debris. But now this was all that remained. One obsolete vessel crewed by the desperate and the doomed. "They send us their floating museum," Thexcal mused. "Should we consider this an insult or a surrender?" "My lord," the tactical officer hesitated. "The vessel is hailing us. Put it through. Let us hear humanity's final words." The holographic display shimmered and a human appeared. She was old, her face lined with years and sorrow, her uniform crisp despite the chaos. Her name tag read Captain Sarah Chen. "Krellian Fleet," she said, her voice steady. "You have violated 17 interstellar treaties, committed genocide against 4 species, and now you threaten Earth. I am Captain Chen of the Terran Resolve. I am authorized to offer you one chance to withdraw." The bridge exploded with clicking laughter. Thexcal had to steady himself against his command throne. "Captain Chen," he replied, still amused. "Your world burns. Your fleet is destroyed. You command a ship that should be in a museum. What possible threat could you pose?" Something shifted in the captain's expression. It wasn't fear or desperation. It was something else. Something that made Thexcal's laughter die in his throat. "Admiral," she said quietly, "do you know why humanity decommissioned the Resolve-class vessels?" Thexcal said nothing. "We learned to build better ships, faster ships, more efficient ships with fusion drives and plasma weapons." She paused. "But we kept the Resolve in storage. We kept all 12 of them. Do you know why?" "Sentiment?" Thexcal suggested, trying to recapture his earlier confidence. "Because," Captain Chen continued, "these ships run on something your species gave up millennia ago when you mastered antimatter containment. These ships run on nuclear fission, old, dirty radioactive fission, the kind that makes sensors scream and shields overload. The kind your vessels aren't designed to handle because no civilized species has used it in 10,000 years." The tactical officer's scales suddenly flushed with alarm. "My lord, the vessel's reactor signature is spiking. It's not just running hot, it's—" The Terran Resolve began to glow. Not the clean luminescence of plasma or the sharp light of lasers. This was something primal, something wrong. Radiation poured from the ancient vessel in waves, and Thexcal's shields, designed to deflect particle beams and absorb energy weapons, began to buckle under the sheer toxic onslaught. "And Admiral," Captain Chen's voice cut through the chaos, "do you know what we mounted on these vessels? Not plasma cannons, not railguns. We mounted something even older." The Resolve's hull split open like a blooming flower, revealing rows upon rows of launch tubes. "Chemical rockets," Chen said. "Thousands of them. Each one tipped with a nuclear warhead. Each one too primitive for your point defense systems to recognize as a threat until it's too late. Each one dirty enough to poison your ships for generations. Evasive maneuvers," Thexcal screamed. The Terran Resolve fired. The space between the human ship and the Krellian fleet became a wall of streaking contrails. Primitive, chemical-fueled missiles by the thousands, each one carrying a payload that hadn't been used in warfare since humanity's earliest days among the stars. The Krellian point defense systems, calibrated for the speed and signatures of modern weapons, barely registered the incoming threat. The first wave struck. Nuclear fire blossomed across the Krellian fleet. Not the clean annihilation of antimatter, but the raw, savage burning of atomic fission. Ships that had survived 100 battles found their shields overwhelmed by radiation their designers had never imagined they would face. Hulls that could withstand plasma found themselves poisoned by fallout. Thexcal's flagship shuddered as 3 warheads detonated against its bow. Alarms shrieked. Crew members collapsed as radiation flooded through compromised sections. "Return fire," he commanded. Energy beams lashed out at the resolve, but the ancient ship dove into the expanding clouds of radioactive debris, using humanity's own weapons as cover. More missiles launched. More ships died. "My lord, we must retreat," his second officer cried. "Our shields can't—" Another cluster of warheads found their mark. The flagship's main reactor began to fail. Through the chaos, through the death and fire, Captain Chen's voice remained steady on the open channel. "You laughed at our museum piece, Admiral. You forgot that museums are where we keep our most dangerous memories." A pause. "You forgot that humanity didn't reach the stars by being civilized. We reached them by being willing to burn everything to survive." Thexcal watched his fleet crumble. 300 ships reduced to fleeing survivors in mere minutes, all because they had forgotten the most basic rule of warfare. Never underestimate an enemy fighting for their home. "Retreat," he whispered. Then louder, "Retreat." As the Krellian fleet scattered, breaking formation and fleeing into faster-than-light transit, the Terran Resolve hung in space, battered but unbowed. Its ancient hull glowed with radiation that would make it uninhabitable for centuries. But it had done what it was built to do. It had reminded the galaxy that humanity's mercy was a choice, not a weakness, and that some weapons never become obsolete. They simply wait.